All right, we're going to break in with this Fox News alert here. We have just gotten word former President Donald Trump has been indicted by a grand jury in New York. Trump was under investigation by the DA's office for his alleged hush money payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels during the 2016 campaign. So as we await more information, Fox News has just learned this from two law enforcement sources that Trump has been indicted. Perhaps I can go around the table. Katie, I'll start with you first.
Well, the president said 2 weeks ago that this was going to happen eventually. He thought it would happen last Tuesday. The grand jury then did not convene for 2 days in a row. And the grand jury was out of town, allegedly, for a month as of yesterday. So this is quite interesting to hear after they were sent home for the month. Now, leading up to this, there was a lot of talk about whether this would even happen, considering Alvin Bragg, who is the Manhattan district attorney who is looking into bringing these charges, would be able to, just given how long it's been since this incident. And it was allegedly a misdemeanor charge. It's never been happened in the history of the New York Attorney's Office before. And there's been a lot of controversy about whether it was appropriate, given the president is a presidential candidate, again, and whether it was politically motivated as a result of this district attorney not having the authority to bring it. Also, of course, there are big questions about the district attorney's priorities when it comes to his obligations in New York to put hardened criminals who are carrying out very violent crimes in the city behind bars, when now he is focused on President Trump. But here we are with this. The president said it was going to happen. So now there are big questions about how this will go down, whether the president will come to New York to be fingerprinted, to take the charges in person, and what that will look like with Secret Service and NYPD, and whether there will be a mugshot and how that will be handled.
I think that's important to ask at this point, Jesse. We don't exactly know how this will go down, but we do know that the indictment would not be announced until it was stamped. The DA's office would then notify an attorney for the former president that he would then be indicted. At that point, the president is then free to make the information public himself. We are reporting this as we've learned it from two law enforcement officials. We'll see if we hear anything from the former president as the moments go on here. Will he be arrested? Would there be any sort of mugshot taken? Will he appear in court? Those are questions that we do not have answers to at this moment.
It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. And I feel bad for the guy. He didn't even really have to be president. He had a lot of money. He had a great life. And he decided to run. He won. He got in. They took him down. And now they're trying to nickel and dime him for a private agreement he made with a woman, 8 years ago? It has nothing to do with politics. Wasn't paid through campaign funds. This is a disgrace. And I think it takes about a week to get the logistics in, so he'll come up and he will get fingerprinted, and they'll get a mugshot. And then they'll plaster that mugshot all over the country for the next 2 years and run against a criminal. And that's what this is all about. No one wanted this. Not even the left wanted this. But now I'm thinking Bragg got embarrassed, because everything you heard over the last 48 hours is they were just going to put this to bed and take a break for a month. So I don't know if there's pressure put on him, because his numbers went up in the last couple weeks when this thing swirled. So maybe the left's calculating that indicting this guy is going to get him the nomination, and they think he's easier to beat. But I wouldn't be so sure about that, because there's going to be a major rally around the flag feeling. I'm starting to feel it right now. I'm angry about it. I don't like it. The country's not going to stand for it. And people better be careful. And that's all I'll say about that.
Okay.
This is the third act of the movie, right? It really is. This is how it has to be. This guarantees his nomination. Alvin Bragg is the MAGA Republican of the Year. He just got Trump's nomination. I think if there's a mugshot, which there will be, you got to own it. That's got to be the poster. That's got to be. He is an OG, right? If they give me, I mean, he is a badass. If he's got a mugshot, you might as well go right into it. And the thing is, his poll numbers have gone up with this. I just think this is going to make sure he is going to be on the ticket. And to your point, they made that gamble in 2016. They thought that he would lose to Hillary, and he didn't. So I don't know if they really think that this is good, like the Joy Behar logic, which is like, oh, he'll be easy to beat.
Just one factual point. It's being reported that it's a felony indictment, and I was saying earlier that they were looking at it as a misdemeanor, and that's why much of the criticism was about that issue. There was talk that Alvin Bragg, as the Manhattan District Attorney, would try to make it a felony, to make it a more serious charge. And now, of course, he's going to have to prove this because he's the one who's taking the information from the grand jury, and he will have to then explain why, beyond a reasonable doubt, he thinks that the charges will stick.
Jessica?
He did. He was bumping it up because it was seen as something to help Donald Trump's campaign, because this all happened a couple of weeks before the election. So it clearly was something that he didn't want to come out and inform the results of the 2016 election. I'm completely shocked by this. When Trump said, I'm going to be indicted on Tuesday, I thought, okay, maybe it's not Tuesday, but this is coming. Then everything that was leaking out from the grand jury, how they weren't meeting on their normal days. And then the letter that Alvin Bragg sent back in response to the House GOP committee and said, basically, this is all your invention. You're the ones that are talking about an indictment. No one out of New York is talking about it. And I thought that that was due to the fact that there was a lot of pressure on him from liberals. I talked about it on air, saying that of all of the myriad of things that Donald Trump is under investigation for, this is not the one where you're going to be able to rally people around to say, yeah, this is unequivocally a thing that he did wrong. It was going to be what happened in Georgia with pressuring officials there to overturn the 2020 election.
Which there is no evidence, but go ahead.
What, phone calls saying, find me 11,000.
What's your definition of find? Like, do you find something that you have to create, or do you find something that's already there?
Well, they weren't there, and it had been certified and examined and certified again.
Find me a good masseuse. I don't say create a new masseuse. Find me a masseuse.
You don't think that the tour of Donald Trump and all of his lawyers throughout the country trying to get the results overturned in states like Arizona and Pennsylvania and Georgia?
Georgia. I was just responding to Georgia.
Okay. So anyway,
Georgia was on your mind.
Always. The mugshot will definitely be part of this. I mean, Donald Trump was up. The Fox News poll that just came up, he's up 30 points in this. He was going to be the nominee anyway. I mean, I was even talking about, should Ron DeSantis run this time around? He's young. Wait until Trump is out of the picture if you're going to do this. But it certainly seems like he would be the nominee.
This is a moment in American history that people will remember. This is a political Rubicon that has been crossed. Yeah. It will certainly change the GOP primary, but it will also change precedent. And Democrats talk a lot about precedent. Well, they just set one with this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And by the way, since this is white collar, we obviously have our camera outside the DA's office here in New York. The DA's office has to now ask Trump's attorney when he plans to come to New York to be arraigned. It doesn't require him to turn himself in, so there's no specific time frame. It could be any minute now. It could be any day, but we'll see.
Well, you can zoom it in, but they won't let him zoom it in because they want the spectacle.
He wants it too, though.
He doesn't want to be indicted. If you think he wants this, he doesn't want it. The family doesn't want it. Imagine being Barron Trump. Hey, Dad, what are you looking at? It's not good. And it's horrible that Alvin Bragg, who's a joke in this town, who should get run out of town because crime's running wild, is going after this. If you get a haircut a couple weeks before an election and you pay for it out of your own pocket, not campaign funds, how is that a campaign finance felony? You were going to get a haircut anyway. You wanted to look good anyway. Just like he would have paid off this woman anyway,
you think a
whether he was running for president or not.
Is the same as getting a touch-up on your hair?
It's PR. And it's called a great analogy.
I just want to get this in here as well, per our Chad Pergram on Capitol Hill. Fox has spoken with one senior aide and one source close to the House inquiry of Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg. They said that they received no heads up about the indictment. We're hearing about this and digesting in real time is what Chad is reporting from Capitol Hill at this hour.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.